Can you buy a home while pregnant or on maternity leave? In this ultimate guide, we'll help you understand whether or not you'll qualify for a loan while pregnant or on maternity leave. You will love the actionable tips. Let's dive in. So, you're expecting a little bundle of joy, but what does this mean for you and your plans to buy a home that you've always dreamed of? Do you have to choose between having a bub and a home, or can you have both? The good news is there's some lenders that will approve your home loan even if you're on maternity leave, which means you can get a mortgage whilst currently on maternity leave. Here are a few things to take note of. Under the terms of a maternity leave home loan, you can borrow up to 95% of the property price. If you're currently on unpaid maternity leave, you'll also need to show the bank that you have some savings set aside. Some lenders will need to see this savings even if you're getting paid maternity leave. The good news is you'll still be eligible for special discounts, packages, and offers even whilst pregnant or on maternity leave when applying for a mortgage. And if you find value in these videos, please consider hitting that subscribe button as it really helps out the channel. And thank you to all our subscribers for your support. It inspires us to create more content we hope you enjoy. So how do you apply for a home loan during pregnancy? Applying for a home loan during pregnancy is our number one tip, as it's best to apply when you're pregnant and still working. This cuts out many of the complications because it's much harder for you to secure a loan whilst you're on maternity leave. Before applying for a home loan, sit down and create a clear financial plan before the baby arrives so that you're prepared for how you'll deal with the change in circumstances. Remember that you'll need a bit of extra money to use for the bad days too. In summary, applying for a home loan before baby comes is best practice if possible. Organize your finances and get a clear plan in place so that you know what you'll be able to afford whilst on maternity leave. Unfortunately, some banks simply reject your loan application as soon as they find out you're on maternity leave. And you might be asking yourself, why is this the case? This is because they deem this as risky based on the possibility that you may not actually return to your job after pregnancy. There are some banks that won't accept maternity leave home loan applications because they base their evaluation on your current income, so be aware of this. The good news is, even though lenders' policies for this type of home loan are stricter, we do work with several banks that still offer home loans for those on maternity leave. So it's not all bad news, and there's definitely options available. Feel free to hit us up if you need assistance with this, as it's one area that we do specialize in. Call us on 1300 088 065, where we can give you a free assessment and let you know where you stand. Now, some of the documents required for applying for a home loan whilst on maternity leave vary. And to qualify for a maternity leave home loan, you'll need to provide things like evidence of income, such as salary payslips for the last 3 months before starting the leave. It helps if you have a group certificate or summary from the last financial year to show what sort of income you are earning. Another document which is an absolute must is a letter from your employer. It needs to state when you're returning from maternity leave, the details of your employment arrangement after you return to your job should be mentioned, along with your return date, your working conditions, for example, if you're full-time or part-time, and your salary. The letter should also be on your employer's letterhead. And the last requirement is a bank statement showing your savings. Once again, the banks wants to see that you will have ample savings to cover you during the maternity period, hence why they want to see a savings statement so they can ascertain your position. Now, you might be asking yourself, how long can I take for maternity leave for the bank to accept it? Now, it does range from lender to lender, and the maximum period that most banks accept is 12 months period of time. So 12 months between you going back to work and your application date. However, some lenders might actually consider it more favorable if the duration is between 4 to 6 months, because once again, they don't need to see as much savings held for that period of time between when you're off and going back to work. The biggest issue we usually see with maternity leave is for the fact that employment arrangements do change. So you might be working full-time right now at the moment, but when you go back to work, you might only be working 2 or 3 days a week. When the bank does their final assessment, they go based on your return to work arrangement, which means your borrowing power will reduce based on what it was before you went on maternity leave. So one thing to keep in mind, if you apply for a home loan before you take maternity leave, a lot of times the banks won't ask about your arrangements during and after maternity leave, and they'll go off your income as it stands. Now, as you can appreciate, when you do get closer to bub arriving and having your birth, then the banks will ask more questions. So usually the first trimester and the second trimester, there isn't too many questions asked. But when you are in the third trimester, the lenders will start to crack down and want to know more information about what you're doing. Once again, if you're on maternity leave and you are looking to put down a minimal deposit, keep in mind the bank does want to see that you do have a little bit of savings left over, because they don't actually take any of your income during the maternity leave process. They'll only take your return to work income. So effectively what that means is when they do an assessment, they'll only be looking at, if you have a partner, your partner's income alone and your return to work income, and they'll say you pass on that. But then they'll remove the maternity return to work income and say the application actually fails servicing by, for example, $1,000 a month. So for every month between now and when you go back to work, you need to show the bank you've got $1,000 in savings. So if you're going back in 10 months' time, you actually need to show the bank, once you purchase the property, that you'd have $10,000 left over. This is a big one. So especially if you're putting down a minimal deposit, if you can't show you've got the surplus funds between now and going back to work, the bank won't actually give you the loan. So these are little things to keep in mind. Here at Hunter Galloway, we're mortgage brokers. We deal with maternity leave applications, and even if you're pregnant, applications whilst pregnant, and we specialize in this. So give us a call. We're a mortgage broker. There's zero cost for our service. We deal with people Australia-wide. Call us on 1300 088 065 or visit our website, fill in a contact form at huntergalloway.com.au. Guys, as always, thanks for watching. We love to know your thoughts. Have you had a maternity loan before? Have you got a loan before when you were pregnant? Leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Guys, thanks for watching.